Hello world, good morning, namaste and Nissan Bulavinaka from Sydney, Australia. I am Sashi Singh and welcome once again to Sashi Singh's Talking Point. In episode 29 this week, we will shortly meet our chief guest, Mr. Savenaca Narube, former governor of the Reserve Bank of Fiji and leader of the Unity Fiji Party. We will discuss with Mr. Narube his thoughts on the budget, the Memorandum of Understanding between Unity Fiji and SODELPA, why he asked the PM to sack the Attorney General, and a lot more questions on a number of matters that really affects all Fijians. I hope wherever you are settled in to enjoy an enlightening interview with my chief guest. As always, may I please request that you share the SSTP page on your own timelines so that we may share the interview with Mr. Narube with as many interested people as possible. To ensure that you receive instant notifications for all future programs, please like the SSTP page and follow us too if you can. Welcome once again to the Thinking People's program, Sashi Singh's Talking Point, live on Facebook and on YouTube. As always, we begin today's episode 29 of SSTP with a warm welcome to our regular contributor, former Fiji TV journalist Nikhil Singh, to tell us of the key happenings of the political week in Fiji and Australia. Nikhil, welcome once again to SSTP. A very good morning to you.
Good morning, Sashi, and hello to the viewers.
Well, Nikhil, let's get straight into your segment, starting off with Fiji. We've seen a week of debate in Parliament following the tabling of the 2022-2023 national budget. We will be unpacking this budget with my chief guest today, the former governor of the Reserve Bank of Fiji and Unity Fiji party leader, Mr. Narube. However, one opposition party has declared this was the last budget tabled by the ruling party. Tell us more, please.
Yes, Sashi, as reported in Fiji Village, National Federation Party leader Biman Prasad told Parliament that the Minister for Economy, Ayah Sayed Qayyum, has delivered his last national budget and Fijians are ready to kick the Fiji First government out. He made the statement while opposing the national budget, and he said that 3 years ago, Qayyum boasted about the Bainimarama boom, which became a national joke, and he is now talking about the Bula boom. He says Qayyum talks about record-breaking economic growth of 12.4%, but he has forgotten that under this government, another record was broken when the economy went backwards by 19%, Shashi.
All right. Still sticking with the Attorney General, the Minister for Economy and the Attorney General asserted in Parliament that should Fiji First Party not be returned as government, every single independent institution will be under attack by an alternate government. The Fiji Labour Party has called out the Attorney General for displaying what the party says is sheer hypocrisy. What have you got for us on this front, Nikhil?
Yes, Sashi, the Fiji Labour Party, Mahinda Chaudhry, certainly hasn't held back. He's released a statement and he said, and I quote, "If there is anyone who has single-handedly played fast and loose with our independent institutions, it is Ayah Sayed Qayyum himself." And Sashi, he's given a few examples which I'd like to take you through very quickly. He's mentioned several institutions. Parliament of Fiji, Chaudhry says the Attorney General has ridden roughshod over parliamentary conventions and amended standing orders to stifle and curtail debate on important national issues, compromising its ability to hold government accountable. The Constitutional Officers Commission, Chaudhry says the independence of all constitutional officers is compromised by the very political process through which the appointments are made. He's also then spoken about some of the other key institutions within government, such as the Fiji First government, Chaudhry says, has interfered with the operations of the Auditor General's Office, the Solicitor General's Office, the head of the Bureau of Statistics, and forced their resignations when unhappy with their decision. The sugar industry, Chaudhry says the government has demolished independent sugar industry institutions, for example, the Sugar Commission of Fiji, depriving the cane farmers of a say in the industry affairs and removing all aspects of accountability and transparency from the operations of the industry. They have replaced the elected Growers Council with the government appointed body which dances to their tune. He then turns to the electoral officers. Chaudhry says the very important electoral officers of the Supervisor of Elections and the Electoral Commission is closely linked to the minister and stand beholden to him. The lack of independence of these officers were questioned even by the visiting UN High Commissioner for Human Rights in 2018. Such as the Fiji National Provident Fund, which has featured quite prominently in recent months. He says the government has removed workers' representatives from the FNPF board and stacked it with his own appointees. The Fiji Development Bank, Chaudhry says the appointment of Fiji Airways CEO as chairman of the FDB is highly questionable and unethical. It undermines the independence of the Fiji Development Bank in its dealings with its debtor, Fiji Airways. And then he says the town council elections, he says that these local government elections have not been allowed. Instead, they have been run by government appointed administrators who are not accountable to the ratepayer, Sashi. So sheer hypocrisy is what Chaudhry is calling this.
All right, in a raft of bills introduced in Parliament by the government, the opposition has taken issue with the process and have questioned the government about the speed in which they want these bills debated and put to vote. The government has also proposed further amendments to the media bill. The People's Alliance Party is concerned about this bill and have promised to scrape it from if it forms government. Do you have more on this, Nikhil?
Yes, I picked this up from the Fiji Village, from Fiji Village as well, Sashi. So two more bills: the Media Industry Development Budget Amendment Bill and Water Authority of Fiji Budget Amendment Bill were tabled in Parliament by the Attorney General last week, with the condition that the proposed laws must pass through one stage of a single sitting of Parliament and must not be referred to a standing committee. Now, the Attorney General said the time for the debate should be limited to ensure that the bills tabled are debated and voted upon during the week's sitting of Parliament. His justification for this is that this was part of the budget streamlining processes, fixing up numerous laws and bureaucracies. SODELPA leader William Ngavoka said the week was already congested with the budget debate and debate on consequential bills. He said this was unforgivable as bills were just being brought in and to be passed in that week. One of the bills that caught the attention of the People's Alliance Party was the Media Industry Development Amendment Bill. The People's Alliance leader, Sitiveni Rambuka, says a People's Alliance government will scrap the draconian Media Industry Development Act and allow for a free press to thrive in the country. Rambuka has condemned the decision of the Fiji First government to amend its Media Act by outlawing the appointment of a media company manager without the approval of the government. He says this is the height of the government's arrogance and despotism. Rambuka has asked, what is the government's business in the operations of a private media company, and why should a private company seek the permission of a basically dormant government office on the manager it wants to hire, Sashi?
Now, we did promise our viewers that we will be following the contempt of court proceedings against Suva lawyer Richard Naidu and keep our viewers updated on the progress of this matter. Naidu's lawyer, John Apted, intends to make an application to the court to cross-examine a senior government minister. What can you tell us about this, Nikhil?
Yes, this case was back in court last week. Sashi, the lawyer for Richard Naidu, John Apted, has informed the High Court that they will file an application to have an oral hearing in their application to set aside the leave granted to bring the committal proceedings against Naidu, and that they also intend to cross-examine the Attorney General, Ayar Sayed Qayyum. Qayyum is the applicant in the committal proceedings case against Naidu. Apted further told the court that the only reason that Sayed Qayyum brought the proceedings 5 months after its publication was for political reasons.
All right, and closer to home here in Australia, Nikhil, Australian journalist Graham Davis in his blog Grubsheet has made reference to the International Monetary Fund's World Economy Outlook as inflation in Australia hits 6.1%. No such thing as the bull boom here. Tough times ahead, Nikhil?
There's certainly no bull boom here, Sashi. Just some quick points on this. And I did pick this out, parts of this from Graham Davis's blog. The annual inflation in the June quarter came out at 6.1%. That's the highest in 21 years. Australian Treasurer Jim Chalmers, in his State of the Economy address last week, warned that things will get worse before they get better. Inflation is predicted to climb even further. The Australian government has revised some of its forecasts downwards. Actually, for example, the Treasurer has confirmed that he has cut half a percentage point from growth for the last financial year, for this financial year, and for next financial year. I think the point that Graham Davis makes is that if you look at all the warning signs here in Australia, the world economy outlook by the International Monetary Fund, which puts it as, I quote, gloomy and more uncertain, countries are revising their growth and revenue forecasts downwards, but Fiji is going the other way. They are, again, it appears, heavily depending on tourism. And Davis in his blog says, and I quote, take Australia, Fiji's biggest tourism market. With the rapid rise in inflation, Australians are being hit with dramatically higher interest rates as the country's Reserve Bank tries to bring inflation under control. And that means a reduction in discretionary spending, such as overseas holidays for Australians, as Aussies tighten their belts. So, Sashi, the Attorney General in Fiji, is painting a very rosy picture of where things are headed and where they are, the path they're taking, and the rest of the world are saying something different. And Davis has actually termed that as a big lie by the Attorney General of Fiji.
And I can assure our viewers that we will be discussing a number of very pertinent issues with our chief guest, Mr. Narube, this morning, Sydney time, of course. And Nikhil, just before you go, a couple of good stories from the Commonwealth Games insofar as Fiji is concerned.
We certainly do have some news, Sashi. The Fijiana sevens team, or the women's sevens team, is guaranteed a medal. We just have to wait and see if it's going to be a gold or silver. They take on Australia in the finals tomorrow. They beat Canada 24-7 in the semi-final. The men's team face New Zealand in the semis tonight. Both the teams have had a fantastic run so far. A good chance of 2 goals in sevens rugby at the Commonwealth Games for Fiji.
Yes, fingers crossed for our Fijian teams. Thank you, Nikhil, once again, very much for your contribution. As always, nicely presented. Look forward to seeing you in the next program. Cheers now.
So do I, Shashi. Thank you.
All right, you are watching Sashi Singh's Talking Point on Facebook and on YouTube Live. We ask the questions that Fijians all over the world want answers to. As I say, Fijians want to know. Please like and follow the SSTP page if you have not done so. I have an important announcement before we begin our program proper. Sashi Singh's Talking Point, SSTP recognizes that questioning, constructive arguments, and opinions are part of conversation, but posts with aggressive personal attacks, profanity, name-calling, swearing, defamatory in nature, and/or threatening will be removed immediately, and offenders will be blocked from being part of the SSTP program. So let's all observe these rules, enjoy the program, and wherever you are, welcome to SSTP. Now it's time to meet our chief guest. Our chief guest today is a returnee guest. He first appeared on episode 5 of SSTP on 19th December 2021. By way of introduction, let me state that our chief guest, Mr. Savenaca Narube, was the Governor of the Reserve Bank of Fiji for 9 years and Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance for 4 years. He has worked both at the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank in Washington, D.C. He was the Chairman of the Reserve Bank of Fiji, Fiji National Provident Fund, Fintel, Fiji School of Medicine, Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority, the Reinsurance Corporation of Fiji, and the Rakavi Trust of Fiji. Mr. Narube was also the Director of the Fiji Sugar Corporation, Amalgamated Telecom Holdings, Telecom Fiji Limited, and Fiji Electricity Authority. He was the alternate governor for Fiji at both the IMF and the Asian Development Bank. Our chief guest is a public finance expert, macroeconomist, and policy strategist, having worked extensively in the Pacific in the last 40 years. Since leaving the Reserve Bank of Fiji in 2009, he has worked as a policy advisor in the Pacific in the areas of public financial management, monetary and financial policies, and organizational change. With the Unity Fiji Party being registered as a political party in Fiji in September 2017, our chief guest has been the leader of Unity Fiji Party. With that very impressive CV, it's my pleasure to welcome once again on SSTP our chief guest this morning. Good morning from Sydney, Mr. Savenaca Narube, Nissan Bulavinaka, and welcome. Welcome once again.
Thank you very much, Shashi. Thank you for the invitation to come back and participate in your talking point. Thank you for the viewers that are tuning in. Thank you for finding time to join us in this interview. Vinaka.
Wonderful, and the pleasure is always ours to have you on the program, Mr. Narube. We have a lot to talk about today, so let's get straight to it. As we begin episode 29 of Sashi Singh's Talking Point, let's begin by first discussing the economic performance of the current government with you. Now, you recently said that facts speak louder than words, and everyone knows the achievements of this government are the poorest ever in our history. As we all know, the Fiji First Party has been in government for 16 years. On what basis have you called their achievements the poorest ever?
I think we can look at virtually all bases and compare that the performance of this government with international benchmarks and, of course, our own leaders in the past. I'm new to politics, Shashi, as you know. The leaders of other political parties that are more experienced than I am. They know more, I'm sure, about politics than I do. But I think there are advantages of being a new kid on the block. I can see things perhaps with a fresh pair of eyes. And because of my experience, as you have mentioned, in the IMF, the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, I tend to see things that maybe others do not. I say things as I see them too. I don't beat around the bush. I think that part should be gone from a political parties' the responses. And I'm not afraid to say things as I see them. I think we should not be afraid. Any of us in this political arena. If they're still afraid, I think they should not be in it. So I see the oppositions tend to feed off what the government says. I think this is reactive. We should be more proactive. And we are trying to do that. Instead of attacking government all the time, we must take the lead with issues that are important to the people. One example, Sasi, is the USP grant. The AG has clearly said that as long as he was in government, there would be no grant to USP. Yet opposition leaders continue to beat the drum. I think the quickest way to restore USP grants is to remove the AG in his entire government. And let's spend energy in trying to do that. And also, I think we are only matching words with more words. People are getting tired of that. I think we must do our homework and, as you said, reveal the facts. The facts is what will set people free. And this, I think we should do. And I think just talking is not enough. We must be bold enough to challenge matters in court. As you know, Fiji Labour Party and Unity Fiji are taking 3 court challenges. It costs money. But I think if we just voice our talk, Nothing will change in this world. And we're beating the same old drum, the opposition. We are
Okay.
trying to bring new thinking, and unity is trying to do that. So those are kind of background to our discussions, which I hope we can change in our interview today.
Sure. Now, again, just getting back to that, you call their achievements the poorest ever. Just explain
Oh,
that if you
yes.
can. Yes.
Well, look at economic growth. They say they are the best. The average growth for 2007 to 2020 is 2.4%. There are other periods of growth that are much higher than that. For instance, between 1971 to 1980 was 4.8%, double this performance. So they're lying. They're not saying what GDP per capita is. That's a better indicator of growth, a distribution of income. And if you look at that, it's stagnant. Countries are catching up already. Investment is declining. Private investment, that is. It used to be close to 20% of GDP. Now it is below 10%. Investor confidence is very low. And inflation, as we all know, is rising. They estimate it at 5%. We say that is too low. We estimate ours at 8%. You know what's happening around the world. The Ministry of the Economy said food prices will now come down. That's ridiculous. A few days after that, price of flour just shot up.
Yes.
Unemployment, is rising. So we estimate it at 30%. And if you look at youth unemployment, Shashi, it may be double that. And to me, I always come back to this poverty. Poverty must be the ultimate benchmark of any government. And what's happening there? Before COVID, it was around 30%. We now estimate it at 40% of the population, which means 400,000 people of our people are living below the poverty line. And that's the worst ever. And not forgetting the social issues, Sashi. We tend to be focusing a lot on economic issues. I think we should also highlight the social issues. There is a social crisis. And we don't see government highlighting that at all. Suicides, prostitution, drugs, family breakup, you name it, crime, the rate of crime, serious
We'll
crime.
discuss that. We will slowly and surely unpack today, and we'll touch on social issues that affects Fiji. So we'll definitely discuss all of those things as well.
Great.
But thank you for highlighting that, and I'm sure I'll raise that with you as we go through this interview. Now, first there was the so-called Bainimarama boom. Then we had the Minister for Economy talking about the Bula boom in the budget. Are the expectations from the tourism sector something that is far-fetched, or do you think the minister is quite correct in his hope for a bumper year of recovery? What's your views?
Well, you have listened to this minister for a long time, over 12 years. He is optimistic about everything under the sun, and including economic growth. I think Nikhil, as I heard his views, all the other parts of the world are bracing for something worse. And here is the minister for the economy in Fiji saying that no, we are going to have a boom. What boom is he talking about? So we are not going to have a boom for sure. And I think he needs to be more realistic. But the whole thing, as I said, is that he doesn't understand the economics. He's never been an economist. He's never had a qualification on economics or finance for that matter. So I think that's what we are suffering from, is that we have a minister for the economy that is taking care of the economy and our finances, who have very, very little, no experience, no qualification. How can we have confidence on such leadership.
All right. Now, talking of the Bula boom expectation, what do you think will happen if Fiji is impacted by another wave of a COVID outbreak? What then for tourism?
Oh, absolutely. And this is what I think this is what we are saying, basically, that the risks out there are increasing, not decreasing. And any kind of scenario strategies by this government must take into account those risks. We haven't started to take account of those risks. So we are still building growth based on government spending. We cannot spend our way out of this crisis, for goodness sake. You know? And the outcome of spending out of crisis is predictable. Our debt is going to hit 100% of GDP soon. And we're ignoring our resource-based sectors. How on earth can we do that? I think this is where the resilience in the economy will come from. Sugar, agriculture, forestry, fisheries, mining, they are heading south. We haven't done anything on sugar. We know the fundamentals problem there. So we might as well forget about the boom. It is an election, to me, a political rhetoric. To me, it will take 4 years to recover lost grounds. And we even haven't started that recovery. But one thing I must say, we have the international ratings. Those are independent, reputable organizations that have assessed our economy. And we are all sleeping badly, Fiji is, in all those international ratings. So where is this boom going to come from?
Makes sense. Totally makes sense. Now, you have been on the economic forefront in Fiji and you know the economic scene so well. Do you think, Mr. Narube, that there's an over reliance on the tourism industry now, especially with what the world went through in 2020 and last year with COVID?
Absolutely. We know the fickleness, the fragility of the world travel, and we are relying a lot on tourism. You know, we should develop tourism because that, to me, it's got a lot of potential. But we should not rely totally on tourism. We should develop our own industries, and they're staring us in the face. You know? And here we are, a government that hasn't done nothing to these industries that I mentioned already. Agriculture is only 8% of GDP, when it used to be around over 20% of GDP. You know, no, it's just that we haven't addressed the fundamental problems that we face. We are just doing it for political purposes. It is not serious. So I guess
Okay.
we need to get back to that serious economic solutions that will lift the economy in the future.
Now, you have been on record as saying that the resource owners continue to be the poorest in the country. Which particular resources were you talking about?
You name it, whatever we have.
Okay.
Those that own forests, those that own fishing grounds, that own agricultural land, and sugar.
Okay.
Those are
Talking
where
talking of
resources are.
sugar. Talking of sugar, let us for a moment examine the sugar industry. Once the backbone of Fiji's economy, now it seems to be in decline. What do you think has contributed to this decline? And do you think more emphasis should be put back into the sugar industry?
Well, we know the problems there, and to me, there's only one problem that covers everything else. There is no money to farmers. in this industry, sugar. The costs are rising, and the sugar prices or the price of cane has remained basically unchanged. So there's no return. So the farmers are leaving this industry. It's only the farmers that has nowhere else to go are there in the industry. These are the fundamental problems that we have closed our eyes to in the last 10, 20 years. Not only this government, previous governments as well. So we need to see what the fundamental problems in sugar, which is cost, which is efficiency. How can we produce sugar efficiently to sell and make a return on the global market? Sugar prices internationally is quite low, so we cannot compete in the market. So what do we do? I think there has to be a long-term solution for sugar.
Okay. Now, what does this government or an incoming government have to do with other resources such as agriculture, gold, timber industry, the vast area of ocean that we have that can really be a good source of export of fish and other seafood? I mean, what economic reforms needs to be implemented to grow the economy?
I think our past efforts in trying to grow our resource-based industry has failed badly. And in my view, I know a little bit of some of this initiative taken in the past. They have failed badly because they were not integrated. There was no integration. It failed badly because they were thinking of what the solutions could be in the small context of farmers. They should think more widely. And we in Unity Fiji have developed this, what we call a resource transformation, that will really transform our industries. We'll announce the details later. But our secret to our future prosperity is in this industry. It's in this industry. And we're not doing anything. And it'll provide employment to a lot of unemployed youths in rural sectors. It'll narrow the gap between the poor and the rich. It may double our GDP in just 6 years and reduce poverty. This resource transformation program. We must go there. The second is that what are we doing with our public enterprise reforms? No, they are chewing up a lot of the budget, and they are crowding out priority expenditure from the budget. I cite the Fiji Road Authority and the Fiji Broadcasting as examples. So we need to reform them so they can stand better on their feet. And lastly, Shashi, private sector is the engine of growth. We know that. But we pay lip service to it. No? And this government has taken the interference in the private sector to another level with favoritism. And that favoritism increases the potential for corruption. So SMEs, yes, been struggling. And all those things we need to address. Thank you.
Okay, and I look forward to your announcement down the track of your reform package. That should be quite interesting. Let us now explore the fiscal performance and especially the budget. Now, what has been your overall view of the 2022-2023 budget?
Thank you. I think we have had commentators on this in the last three weeks. We have tried to put in our contributions. But I always start from a strategic policy level. And all observations on all Fiji First budgets is they have lacked a vision, an economic vision. They have not addressed some of the deep-rooted problems that I have just said. Because why? They have put a lot of political spending in the budget. Political spending is good only for politics, but not for the welfare of the people. There are a lot of handouts and bailouts in their budget. and you look at the quality of their spending, it is very low. And no, they have made the economy more vulnerable with no diversification. So it is also have been rather piecemeal. Band-aid solutions, they won't last. So the IMF has called for fiscal consolidation, which means really it's a euphemism to say, hey, guys, reduce your spending. No, they haven't. They have increased it. Huh? Deficit of GDP in the last budget is 8%. Deficit of the government is 8% of GDP, when to me it should be below 3%. So all budgeting is all about priorities, Shashi, as everybody know. But the
Sure.
priorities to me are wrong. There's higher military spending in this budget when families are struggling just to have the basics of life. Where is the priorities here? Huh? And the welfare support is welcome, but it's just tokenism in my view. It's not built in permanently into welfare support. It's only available up to the elections. Now, come on. Who are they kidding? Yeah. Again, to me, the biggest problem is that the minister have no clue what needs to be done, but really think he does. That's a danger.
Okay. Therefore, in terms of assessing this budget against the backdrop of how the current world economy is and the effects of COVID 19, would you say that this was a responsible budget?
Absolutely not.
Mhm.
It is a irresponsible budget. And many of Fiji First budget has been an irresponsible budget. I'm not saying that out of just politics. I'm saying that because of my knowledge of finances. This $1 per day per child for 6 months, welcome. But after that, back to where we were. The economy hasn't grown, hasn't gone as progress. So where would their support come after that? And I really think that the government needs to rethink how it supports the economy. You cannot support the economy by government spending. We cannot spend our way out of this crisis, for goodness sake. We cannot. We will hit the brick wall. We will go over the financial cliff. But this government doesn't seem to care. So to me, it is not it's not a responsible budget, and many of their budgets has not been a responsible one. Thank you.
Okay. You just mentioned the $1 per day per child for 6 months. I would love to hear your views, your thoughts on that. I think you just mentioned that it's only up to the election.
Yeah, it's 6 months, Shashi. It's 6 months. So what happens after 6 months? Back to ground zero, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nothing has changed. The economy hasn't progressed. The world economy is teetering on a recession. And we
Yes.
may have to reduce our very optimistic growth rate of over 11% for this year. We have ours. Our estimate in Unity Fiji is a 5% growth. I think we will be more towards 5% than 11%. So nothing will change after that. So the welfare of the families are not going to be permanently improved. Band-aid solutions won't last.
All right, Mr. Narube, the Minister for Economy announced in Parliament this week that about 100,000 Fijians have been lifted out of poverty as a direct result of the Bainimarama government's 9 consecutive years of economic growth and social empowerment initiatives, such as free education, equality in employment, and creation of thousands of jobs. Do you agree with the minister's statement?
Absolutely not. And I think many of us that know what the poverty levels are in Fiji would agree with me. You know, it's
Yes.
it is ridiculous claim. I have no idea where he is basing the claim, but I think it's the kind of things that he does a lot. You know, he throws in those kind of things that we know it is incorrect, and he throws it, as you know, for a particular reason, and that's a political reason. You know, he has politicized a lot of people's welfare in these countries over the years. No, I don't think that they have taken 100,000 people off welfare, of poverty. We see poverty rising to 40% of the population, and that's 400,000 people living below the poverty line. So, who is he kidding? Huh? No, poverty is the worst right now in Fiji, and we need solutions from him, not only figures plucked out of thin air to politicize this important issue.
All right. And as a matter of transparency, let me tell my viewers my open invitation to the government side still stands. And if the Minister for Economy, the Attorney General, or the Prime Minister, or any other minister wishes to come onto this program, they have the opportunity to do so. Moving on, Mr. Narube, looking at the budget allocations, I can't but help notice that the RFMF is allocated a total of $94.1 million in this budget. Now, is this fully justified when one looks at the day to day issues facing the mums and dads of Fiji, given the high cost of living faced by such a large percentage of the population?
No, absolutely not. And this is what I was referring to as having the right priorities. Budgeting is all about priorities. We have limited resources and we have unlimited demands on those resources. So the budget allocates along priorities. What is the priority on the military? We ask. Huh? To be allocated that amount. You know, they had increased that allocation. What is
Yes.
the rationale when families are finding it hard just to put the basics on the table? You know, I'm at loss. But to me, again, reflects the politicization of our budget. The government doesn't have any money. It's only our money that we give it through taxes and other levies. He needs to be accountable to us for that money. Unfortunately, that accountability is out of the window in this government. So I disagree very much with that increased allocation to the military at this time when families are struggling.
Okay. Whilst we still talking about the military, what do you think should be the role of the military in Fiji?
Well, that's what I call the elephant in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about the elephant.
Hmm.
Okay. I preface what I'm going to say because I know the military. They have played a very important part in peacekeeping. They've made us proud. I respect them, but I always say that leave the running of the country to a civilian government. In this election, I'm asking that we restore a civilian-led government, and that should be the focus of our vote. We have been led for too long by military officers, and I believe that a lot of the fundamental problems that we face are because of that. So I have had good civilian-led government in the past. We know that.
Yes.
Late Pratumar and Garase, they have showed us that, of course, because of their training, specifically on leadership, they have done a good job taking care of the people. So my call is, please, for voters, please, let's restore government to a civilian-led one.
Okay. I believe my next question, you've just partially touched on that, but I will ask that. As you are aware, the 2013 Constitution at Section 131, subsection 2 says, it shall be the overall responsibility of the Republic of the Fiji Military Forces to ensure at all times the security, defense, and well being of Fiji and all Fijians. Who do you think should be responsible for the well being of all Fijians? Should it be the military or should it be the government of the day?
Absolutely, the government of the day. We know that. That particular provision in the Constitution is too wide. We know that. Huh? It's too wide. We know the circumstances of why they were put there. We know that. So we ourselves in Unity Fiji and I believe many other opposition parties need to reform the Constitution. We need to start discussing dialogues on that. We must not just ignore the elephant in the room, because the more we dialogue, the more we talk about it, Shashi, I think the more that opportunities to us to find a workable solution. The military has its role. You know? The military has families that they need to take care of, that the welfare of their children, the education, they're part of the whole nation. So we could include that in nation building, but with a demarcation of roles that are separate and quite accountable to the people. So I think we need to start discussion on the reforms of the Constitution. We all know this Constitution, don't we? The people didn't participate in writing
Yes,
the Constitution, and it's never been passed by Parliament.
that's
So,
true. Very true.
yeah, so it is not the people's Constitution, of course. It is this government's Constitution. But that is the reality of where we are. I think we need to generate more dialogue around there, including particularly that provision that you have quoted on the responsibilities of the welfare of the people. I believe this is the only constitution that gives the welfare of the people to the military. We need to address that.
You mentioned that you know as to why that was inserted. The fact that we have the 2013 Constitution, does that particular section cause you any concern, particularly if the election outcome is such that the incumbent government faces defeat? Does that section at all cause you any discomfort?
Yeah, the thing is the interpretation of that section. Huh? If there is a change in government, that is the call by the people. You know,
Yes.
there is the will of the people. You know? And in that provision, if there is a will of the people, that means it is going to be honored by all the organs of the people, which includes the military. So to me, that is irrelevant when it comes to the election results, because that becomes a political issue. And that is what I think we need to reform in the Constitution. Once the people make their choice, I think every organ of the state, including the military, will respect that, because that's
Okay.
the people. So that's my view. I'm hoping that this military will take that interpretation, and we will have a smooth transition to a new government.
I guess that's what we're all hoping for. You mentioned politics. You mentioned. Let me get to this question. One thing
Go
that
ahead.
was not the one thing that was not addressed in the budget was the allocation of the well overdue 70 odd million dollars to the USP. What are your views on the USP grant saga? Is the government playing politics at the expense of students?
Absolutely. Yeah, we know that. In support of bad governance, the government has hurt the people, the students. How would they do that? Huh? How would they have the thinking behind that and sleep quite comfortably during the night? You know, they are supporting a bad government and they are hurting the people. As I said, I think early on, government has said that if they are in power, this is going to be the status quo. So let's leave them and spend our energy to get rid of them, because that's the fastest way for us to restore the grants to our students. That's the fastest way. We do this election. Whenever will this election going to be? I don't know. Remove this government, restore the allowance. That's the
All
quickest way.
right. Now, again, looking at that USP saga, what does this do to Fiji's relationship within the region?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point, because our leaders in the region met a few weeks ago here in Suva. Huh? And I hear calls by our prime minister, who is the chairman of peace, for unity, for unity. And here he is, withdrawing the student of the whole Pacific University, which is USP, withholding their allowances or that grant to them. How can he look at his colleagues across the table with a straight face? To me, that's hypocrisy. And
Yes.
the role of Fiji in the region has been destroyed. Destroyed. We used to be looked at with a lot of respect about what our leadership role could be. And leaders like the late Ratumara, as an example of that, we have lost that completely. So we need to rebuild the trust, we need to rebuild the respect of our fellow islanders. Regionalism is very much, to me, dead. Fiji
Okay.
established another body called the Pacific Development Forum,
Yes.
and it's still there. And it's still there, with an allocation of about 2 million, believe it or not. And here he is sitting, chairing the meetings of leaders and saying, let's unite. Don't you think that's hypocritical?
Indeed. Okay. Now, before we leave the budget, do you have any other views on the budget?
Yeah, just a couple. I think we should look at again what the budget allocation to the welfare people, if we can. The minister or the prime minister said, well, if there is a need, we will continue with some of this. I think that is to be a statement by someone who doesn't really know what is happening in there. So again, and we need to look at solutions to this price issue, inflation. That's a killer. Everywhere we are going, they raise that. And government has not got enough in the budget for that. And what's the role of monetary policy in that price battle? I haven't heard the Reserve Bank of Fiji on it. One of their most important role is price stability. So what are they doing about it? And those are the things that I think will need to be relooked at in this budget. Thank you.
All right. Have a drink of water, Mr. Narube. Take a little break. You are watching Sashi Singh's Talking Point, and our chief guest today is Mr. Savenaca Narube, former governor of the Reserve Bank of Fiji and leader of the Unity Fiji Party. Please like and share the SSTP page if you can, so that we may share this program with as many people as we can. Some very interesting questions are coming up in comments. Let me assure you viewers that I believe I will, by the end of this interview, cover most of the subjects that is appearing on the comments page. Mr. Narube, let us now turn our attention to another area of discussion that is also a hot topic of debate, depending which side of the political divide one is on, and that is the subject of the debt crisis. What are your views on the current debt levels sitting over $9 billion? Is it sustainable at all?
Absolutely not.
Mhm.
We are a small country. We are very vulnerable to shocks here around the region and definitely in the world. So however you measure this debt, we are in a crisis. If you know our debt position, no, we are around 90% of GDP. You
Yes.
add the contingency liabilities, we will shoot up to 110%. You add the FNPF guarantees, we are at 120%. But our Minister of Economy doesn't think we are in a crisis. No? To me, that is the issue. If he realizes that that is an issue, then and only then will he find solutions. If he doubts that we are in an issue, we are in a great problem. What he hasn't provided to us is talked a lot about that. I think he's fallen in love with it. He's forever defending it. And he's borrowing another $1 billion this year to top up already high debt level. What he hides, and that is very important for the sustainability of debt, is the debt servicing ratios. No? He hasn't mentioned that. Have anybody heard from him?
No,
Of those
no.
ratios? Servicing? No. He hides that. No? The debt payment, as we know in the budget, is around close to $700 million a year. And I've worked it out. That's equivalent to about 40% of domestic revenue. That's double the global benchmark of debt servicing. So this is where the danger is. As we pay more debt payments, we are slowly but surely crowding out essential spending like health. And that's already happening.
Sorry, pardon me for interrupting you.
Go ahead.
You made a very good point that no one in government talks about debt servicing.
No.
On that very same token, then, I realize that they don't talk about debt servicing. The minister talks about smart borrowing. How do you react to the issue of debt levels when he calls it smart borrowing? What's your reaction to that?
Again, it's fallen in love with borrowing. It's saying some borrowing are smart. Oh,
But
gosh.
at whose expense?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a debt. I've also highlighted that. There's no such thing as smart borrowing. Borrowing is borrowing. What the minister should be doing, he should be acknowledging that, we needed to borrow, but he's also doing other reforms that will make this borrowing sustainable. He hasn't done that. He has boasted about the low interest rate. We've heard that a lot of times. He has secured these concessional loans from the multilateral institutions like the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank. And he's boasted, what an achievement. This is nothing to boast about, because we have been relegated in our country classification from these institutions that allows us to go to that concessional access to borrowing. Before, when I was in government, we were not eligible for that. So what he's saying, we are poor, and that's why we are getting more concessional loans. What perverse logic is that?
Yes.
It's not. So we must change the manager of our finance in Fiji as quickly as possible.
Which leads me to ask you, how much of a crisis is the current debt situation? Is it really a crisis? And should this be a worry for the people of Fiji?
Absolutely. I think we the ordinary people need to understand that. And in our talk with the people in this campaign, we have tried to impress that. When this crowding out impact of debt servicing, and by the way, in our legislation, we need to pay debt. We cannot refuse to pay debt. So when we are piling up our debt payment, it's crowding out health services. No, it's already happening. You go to the hospitals. I have been told that there's no bandage, there's no plaster, there's no cotton wool. Why? So to me, that's the sign that there's not enough going to health, because debt servicing is crowding out, and that will bring us to a disaster. I mean, we're talking about other countries around the world that has gone through that. One is going through that right now, which is Sri Lanka. And
Yes.
the people there are suffering. My message to the people is that when that kind of crisis hit, they are the one that will shoulder the cost. The ordinary people. And they need to take attention on that. And this debt will have to be repaid over years and years and years. And that will be the responsibilities of our younger generation. So yeah, we should be concerned.
And it is a crisis, therefore. Absolutely.
It is a crisis. Yes.
All right, Mr. Narube, I would now like to discuss public financial management with you. You have been on record as saying that the country was in a financial cliff. What did you mean by this? Please explain.
Yeah, I've seen, I worked with the interim government from 2006, when Garas's government was overthrown, to 2009. I've seen the rise in expenditure of this government. They are to me, in my knowledge of past governments, they're the one that has raised expenditure to another level. So I also saw a lot of wastage of these expenses, and I saw debt rising. So when you are wasting expenses, that means the cyclical impact of government spending back to more revenue for government, and therefore they would be able to repay the debt. That cycle is broken with a lot of wastage. So that is what I was saying.
Okay.
If you continue down this road, this is what will happen. Ultimately, your debt you cannot pay your debt.
All right. Now, in short to medium term, what financial management strategies should be put in place to manage the debt crisis?
Yeah, and this is where I thought the budget should really be talking about, which it didn't. I think they should be focusing more on expenditure reforms, focusing more on lifting the efficiency of government spending. And that will have a much more powerful flow-on impact onto the economy and onto debt servicing. So they should be looking at what we call public expenditure review. This is a review of all ministries' budget and see whether they are effective, they are fulfilling their intentions, and so forth. They should look at a zero-based budgeting system where every ministry starts from zero and argues every dollar above that. That's a very efficient way to reduce wastages. And I urge government not to raise taxes at this time. The people are already burdened by this economic depression and also the higher prices. Those are kind of financial management strategies we will implement when we are in government. Thank you.
All right. You may have answered this question already, or you may have said it as part of your narration, but I'd like you to categorically state what your thoughts are on this. Can you categorically state whether or not the future generations will inherit this $9 billion debt and also other debts that they inherit?
Yes. Yeah, our future generation will be burdened by all this debt that we are doing now. The intergenerational impact of debt is a well-known subject. No, the government borrows now, and he tells us, the Minister of Economy, that he will not repay until 10 years' time. So those that are our children working in 10 years' time will start paying some of this debt. Yes, it is going to be a big issue for our children. We should remember that. We should
Okay.
not spend for the time that we have now. The sustainability of our action is our responsibility to our future generations. We are not handling that responsibility very well.
Now, you recently wrote to the Prime Minister and called for the sacking of the Minister for Economy. What prompted this? Please, pray do tell.
Yes, I was analyzing the budget, and many things I've said already in the budget was in my mind. We normally just raise our analysis on the media or social media. But this time around, I thought we have talked a lot about many of these things. It's not receiving any attention from this government. So I said, for this election, I will write an open letter to the Prime Minister, which I did. And in that open letter, I said, please, to solve these issues that we are facing, the Prime Minister, must sack your Minister for the Economy, because he is the one causing all these problems for us. And I also offer him, if you need advice on financial and economic matters, Unity Fiji stands ready to offer that advice directly to you. We think we have the experience, we have the skills that is unmatched by other political parties in this area. So you could get our policy advice if you need it. As expected, I haven't received any response to that open letter.
All right. I thought you would have got a response. What a generous offer was made. All right. So there's no response. Let us now move our discussion to issues of cost of living. Now, on Friday, we learned that the price of flour had gone up by 12%. From tomorrow, consumers in Fiji will pay more at the Bowser as prices of unleaded fuel, diesel, kerosene, and premix all go up significantly. Unleaded fuel goes up 23 cents a litre and will cost $3.67 per litre. And diesel will go up by 47 cents to $3.61 per litre. What is your view, Mr. Narube, on the escalating cost of living?
Yeah, you are right. The Minister for the Economy again said that food prices will start to come down. A few days after that, flour prices gone up, and now you're mentioning the fuel price increases. So this is going to be an ongoing crisis. We have come from a health crisis and now into an inflationary one. Let's examine that. No? Rising prices of domestic products, sugar prices went up. Why did they go up? Why did they go up? No? I still haven't been able to answer. No, the sugarcane prices remains the same. So this is not going to pay to the sugarcane farmers. So who is it going to? It's going to the Fiji Sugar Corporation. No? Why? Because it's in financial trouble. And that's, to me, we are paying. The people are paying for that, for something that they have no way of contributing to it. Then we look at the prices of imported products, fuel, food. We know what the international market will be. This will continue. But to me, I'm asking government, please don't pass on the full increase in fuel and food prices to the people. Do something about it. Because they tend to be throwing up their hands and saying, hey, we can't control this. Of course you can't control world prices, but you can control what you do with them. So my position is that why don't we share this burden at these unusual times? We share broadly with government, the people, and the private sector, the companies. Government is giving us a subsidy on bus fares. Yeah. What about the other food? Can they do that? No? And as I mentioned earlier, monetary policy. What is monetary policy doing? And company, what are they? Are they sharing this burden? And I think they should. They should. And they should absorb some increase through price controls of their margins. So that's what I think should be done.
All right. Solutions. So those are part of the solutions. Are there any other solutions to getting the cost of living under control?
I think, as I said, it's coming from abroad, no? And monetary policy should be looked at to be able to contribute to fighting this inflationary pressure. But go to the flip side of this, the people income, on the income side. And that's where I think we could develop a lot of thought about it. To what we are calling at Unity Fiji a sustainable wage increase, a living wage. This government has said something about living wage or increasing the wages, but it hasn't implemented it. As I said, the allowances, some of them may have to be relooked at, so people can better sustain this prices increase.
In Unity Fiji, what would you say should be the minimum wage rate?
Yeah, we are still working at it. I think we're leaning towards $6 an hour, and that's raised based on the poverty line. So if you base it on the poverty line, a living wage should be around there. So it gives the opportunity for the wage recipients to live a reasonable life.
Okay, let's talk about poverty now. You have said that poverty must ultimately be the barometer of performance of any government. Please explain what you mean by that and what is the level of poverty now? And the third part to that question, how will Unity Fiji reduce poverty in Fiji?
Yeah, poverty is a multifaceted issue. We know that. But to me, That is the ultimate test of the performance of a government. They might do a dance on whatever, on that and things like that. But I think we should sit them down and tell them what is happening to poverty. And that should be the measure of your performance. I've seen government policies through the budget over the years that has favored the rich more than the poor. I've seen that. I saw the reduction in imports of luxury cars some years back. Why are we looking at luxury cars? Huh? I saw the backdating of a reduction in capital gains tax. Only the rich benefit from capital gains. While all this was happening, government was telling the people, go and raid your life savings from the Fiji National Provident Fund, while giving more incentives to the companies. So that's why I think this government has not been serious about the people. So to me, as I said, the solutions must be multifaceted as well. Of course, in the bigger scheme of things, we must grow the economy to provide more jobs. And as I said, our integrated resource transformation program can double GDP, in our view, within 6 years. We need a living wage. I've just talked about that. That will help poverty. Education. We should treat education as a right, not a privilege. Yeah. Our government systems must be targeted, properly targeted, not general handouts. That's what we are seeing here. And we think that indexation of selected allowance to inflation would help. My point to the people is this: handouts will not solve poverty. It will make it worse. And government is giving handout, which to me means they are not interested in solving poverty, but on getting your votes. Thank you.
How will you narrow the wealth gaps between the poor and the rich? I mean, this seems to be an insurmountable problem.
No, Shashi, it is not insurmountable.
Okay.
Government is in control and controls the budget, which gets money from people that can afford to give government money and give it to those that do not have the money. That distributive role of the budget is not here. Huh? We can do that. Secondly, we can grow as I mentioned, our resource-based industries where many people in poverty rely on. We can do that. We can pay a living wage. Why not? And so I think it's not insurmountable. It can be done, but it needs a government that knows what needs to be done.
All right. Now, at the beginning of the program, you mentioned that economic crisis has led to an unprecedented social crisis. Can you elaborate a bit further on that, please?
Yeah, this is one of my major concerns. We talk a lot on economic issues in interviews such as this and others. And we tend to forget the impact of this economic crisis on social issues. And that's a huge impact. And many families are really finding it challenging to deal with this. We see the rise in these social issues everywhere. We see the impact of it. And we know that drugs, abuse of drugs is one of them. We also know that prostitution, particularly amongst the young girls, are increasing. Yeah. We also know that families are being destroyed because of these challenges. So those are the issues that are not highlighted enough. And I think we should highlight it. The crime rate I mentioned maybe has gone up. And these are serious crimes. So those are the things I think we could deviate discussion, the dialogue more than what we're doing right now.
You mentioned drugs. Let us discuss some of the hardcore problems. And with high levels of poverty and widening disparity of income, there is a rise in a number of problems such as drugs and prostitutions. Now,
Mm,
the police commissioner, Brigadier General Sitiveni Giliho, commissioned the destruction of 132 kilograms of cocaine worth
mm,
about Australian $33 million at
mm.
the Davoilevu Dignified Crematorium on Thursday morning. Firstly, your opinion on how did the drug problem in Fiji escalate to such proportions? I mean, in recent times, look at
Mm.
marijuana cultivations in Fiji. It's shocking for an island nation like Fiji to have such a large marijuana cultivation, for example.
Mm.
How do you think it's escalated to this number? To this number?
Yeah, to me, drugs motivated more through lack of opportunities for other income sources.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, the major cause of these drugs. These people don't have any other sources of income, and they have stumbled onto drugs, and it's very lucrative.
Hmm.
So for us to find solutions to it, we really need to replace that income with something else, wouldn't we? And I think that's where the challenge is, to find an alternative sources of income that is less destructive to the community. So those that are planting marijuana would have to plant something else. It's going to be a real challenge, but it is born out of lack of income. So the growth of the economy that we talked about earlier on, that to me again would help a lot in fighting prostitution and things like that. I think our our NGOs really that are at the front line of this should be supported. uh, They're doing a great job, but
Yes,
I think government is helping them out enough.
right. And when you look at issues like prostitution, is the rise in prostitution directly related to the widening disparity of income levels in Fiji, or is there some other reason?
Yeah, again, it boils down to no money. You know?
Mm.
They have no money. So to be able to put some food on the table for their families, that's the only thing that they could do. There's lack of opportunities to earn money, lack of
Mm.
jobs. So those are related, whether some perhaps not as strongly, but they are there. So
Okay.
again, the work of NGOs in counseling, in awareness and things like that should be promoted, because they are the
Right.
ones that may be able to get some inroad into these very complex issues.
All right. I have a question on human rights abuse. I believe you are on record as saying that the worst thing this government has done is the abuse of human rights. Please elaborate on this statement of yours.
Yeah, I mean, I agonize over many things about this government. I agonize of their financial, economic performance and management. But one thing I'm really shameful about is our human rights record. You know? And this is the most tragic thing for me. We in Fiji, we are in a beautiful country, with beautiful people. You know? We have our issues, we have our challenges, but we lived without fear, without intimidation, without harassment about 16 years ago. Huh? We live with freedom. Huh? So this has been overturned
Hmm.
by this government. And I agonize, how dare they do this to my children and grandchildren? They can't. You know? So our human rights record across the international spectrum is full, the reports of this is full of violations of human rights in Fiji. Huh? Cruel, inhuman, degrading treatment of people, the lack of freedom of the media, independence. These are big issues. And then one of these reports that I quoted in that forum was the U.S. State Department Human Rights Report and Transparency International, which quoted a lot of these abuses. Of one such abuse, they said that 4 correction officers at the Lautoka Correction Center allegedly murdered 1 prisoner and assaulted 2 others. So they said these officers were arrested and charged in September 2020. And they were bailed. And up to now, the trial has not yet started.
Wow.
Wow. There are some aspects of that still around. You know, opposition parties needs to collect all this information and present it in a list. So these laws that limits our rights under the Constitution, you know, the Public Orders Act, the Media Act, perhaps also the Trade Union Act. You know, they are the ones that are implementing these human rights abuses through these acts. We should throw this act out in the new
All
government.
right.
Thank you.
Which brings me to the subject of corruption. Unity Fiji has placed tackling corruption as one of its priorities. How do you see corruption insofar as this current government is concerned?
Oh, yes. I'm happy to talk about corruption. I go back to the reasons for the 2006 coup. Do you remember?
I remember it was said that the coup was conducted to get rid of corruption.
Of course. Yeah. But what have they achieved? Virtually nothing. Yeah. Corruptions are in the Auditor General report. You know? There are corruptions, allegations of corruptions, a lot that comes our way. And corruptions are in the tender processes of government. You know? There's no transparency there. We are told of decisions made by them, tender boards overturned by politicians. Yeah. So we have actual examples of that over these years. So, but the sense that no, it is corruption. It is rather than declining, it is increasing. We would not know the depth of this corruption until a new government is formed. When you have 2 people, or maybe 1, making all the calls, all the decisions, the possibility of corruption multiplies.
You mentioned examples. You mentioned examples. You know of examples. Can you please elaborate on that?
Examples of tenders that were not called. One is the Rewa Dairy.
Yes.
That was given to Ayas Qayyum's auntie. That went to court. That was raised by the Auditor General. That went to court. And that case, I don't know where it is now. Of that particular case. There is an IT company in Fiji that were awarded the tender for IT in government. It was taken away by the decision of one person. There are numerous cases, Shashi, and I think again the opposition should list down these cases of corruption or alleged corruption. So we can actually show that to the people.
How will Unity Fiji tackle corruption?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I think, as I said, following the proper demarcation of roles between ministers and civil servants. I was a civil servant. I was the permanent secretary for finance. I
Yes.
know the demarcation of roles at that time. I understand that demarcation of role has been pushed aside. The ministers can now go right down to operational levels to make decisions. So we can have the law applied to everyone, not only to some, but to everyone. We would like to restore the independence of institutions like the Auditor General, FICAC, and so forth. One of the, to me, the serious issues that this government has done is to destroy the independence of these institutions. We, the people, depend on the independence of this institution, but that has been removed. We'll restore the independence of the Public Service Commission, and we would like to see that an independent tribunal be set up to examine all police disciplinary cases. So those are some issues for us.
All right. During the beginning of the show, you touched very briefly on the recent Pacific Islands Forum that took place in Fiji. Let me please ask you, what is your read on regional relations and foreign policies in the region?
Yeah, I don't think this government has any foreign policy, really. I haven't seen one. What I see is this piecemeal implementation of decisions. Our regional relations is under severe stress in the Pacific, under severe stress. Our major organization is PIFS, seems to be quite weak, splitting up for various reasons. As I said earlier, our regionalism has never progressed. You know, I think for all small island countries in the Pacific, including Fiji, this is something that is worth pursuing, regionalism. And maybe the geopolitics of this region is now raising the level of concern. People have mentioned the presence of China in the Pacific. We all know that case in Solomon Islands. Yeah. So I think we will need to articulate more and more clarity into what we can play, Fiji can play in the region. We used to be leaders, as I mentioned earlier. But that confidence and respect on Fiji's leadership is gone, evaporated. As I said, our prime minister sitting across the table from his colleagues, saying this while withdrawing the USP grant. It's hard to fathom how he can combine the two. So I think that's a very, very important issue for Fiji, his leadership role in the region. Thank you.
Talking about the Pacific Islands Forum, how united a forum is that? I mean, Kiribati pulled out of that forum.
Yeah, as I said, the unity in the region is under stress. It's challenged. Yeah, and we all hear about why Kiribati is doing what it's doing. Some say it's being influenced by China. Some say, well, it's because of the appointment of this the new head of PIFS. But we don't know what is. But what is PIFS or the other members of the region going to do about it is a more interesting question. Yeah. So
Okay.
we're raised with a lot of strategic issues in the region that I don't see us now having any strategies around it. Thank you.
Having said that, you just said you don't see any strategies around. What
Yeah.
role do you think Fiji should play in the region then, in terms of relationships with its Pacific Island neighbors?
Yeah, Fiji's
Mm,
role in this, I think we need to restore the respect that we had as leader of the region. We need to put the interest of the region higher up in our agenda,
mhm,
because we can benefit indirectly or directly from a dynamic region. And Fiji, because it's well placed for it, uh, we are kind of short-sighted and just looking at what is our current interest in it. So
mhm.
I think we need to bring in that synergy in the discussion on, say, airlines, shipping, and so forth in the region. So I think we need to get back the confidence and the respect that we once had.
Mr. Narumbe, looking at foreign policy, should the people of Fiji have concerns with the ever growing presence of China in the Pacific?
Yeah, I mentioned that already,
Mm,
Shashi, as one of the geopolitical issues in the Pacific. I
mhm,
think we are a small region. We are individually, we are very small compared to the rest of the world. So our response to a bilateral relationship should be based on that fact. I think it should also be based on equality. It's difficult talking to big countries like China, but I think we should be talking also about the equality of respective positions. I think we should also be transparent about it.
mm.
Transparent in whatever that discussion has taken on a bilateral relation. It should be very, very transparent. And if we do that, then we should open our doors to anyone, hmm,
Mm.
China or any other country, along those principles. So if we do that, I think we are safe as a country, and we will have mutual benefits out of our bilateral relationship.
And how important an alliance is Australia and New Zealand to Fiji?
Oh yeah, very important. They are
Mhm.
our traditional uh, helpers or traditional friends here in the region. They are very important. They are major sources of our tourism market and investment. Uh, so I think we need to nurture that relationship. Again, that some relationship has been strained in the past, but we need to get back those relationships, because it is going to be in our interest going forward that we are there with Australia and New Zealand. I don't think we have a choice.
Okay. Have a drink of water, have a break. We'll come back and talk about free and fair elections in a moment. On Sashi Singh's talking point today, our chief guest is Mr. Savenaca Narube, former governor of the Reserve Bank of Fiji and leader of the Unity Fiji Party. Please like and share the SSTP page if you can, so that we may share this program with as many people as we can. Just a reminder, if you've joined us as of late, you are a new follower of SSTP, you can always see a full recording of this as well as all past programs on Facebook and on YouTube at your leisure and pleasure. Let's talk about free and fair elections. That's been on the mind. That's been on the mind of Fijians all over the world. Whether free and fair elections will be conducted in the forthcoming general elections. So far, we do not have an announcement of any multi-observer group going to Fiji. You have said that the multi-observer group has not pronounced the last two elections as free and fair. I find this very interesting. Can you please elaborate on this statement of yours?
Sure. We all know that free and fair elections is the cornerstone of democracy. We know that. And the Constitution, our Constitution 2018 Constitution, says that elections must be free and fair. And it's the responsibility of the Electoral Commission to ensure that elections are free and fair. If you look at the Multinational Observer Group report of the last two elections in 2012, I believe, 2014 and 2018, they did not rate our elections, the two elections, as free and fair. They said our elections were credible. So I posed this to the supervisor of election, and it said, oh, credible rating is better than free and fair. I was astounded. And I asked him, please provide us with evidence that internationally credible election is superior than free and fair. Up to now, I'm still waiting for his evidence.
Okay. Together with the Fiji Labour Party, you filed a few court challenges, and one was on the behavior, I believe, of the supervisor of elections. Can you please tell us what the court challenges were about and what has happened so far?
Yeah, the court, the matter is still in court, so I won't be able to say too much about it. But I tell you, we have filed 3 court cases because I believe just talking will not take us too much forward. We need to be bold enough to take matters into court, and that's what we have done. And I thank Mahendra Chaudhary for that. So we have filed 3 court challenges. The first one is challenging the Constitution Officers Commission, COC, who appoints the supervisor of election to investigate the alleged misbehaviors of the supervisor of election. We had written to the COC before that. They didn't give us any reply. We have reminded them again. The COC appoints a lot of our independent officers in Fiji. It is chaired by the Prime Minister, and the Attorney General is also a member. There's 2 other members, I believe, from outside. So we have made that allegation to them. We have indicators of the misbehavior of the SOE. So we're asking the COC to please convene and appoint a tribunal to look into the allegations of misbehavior.
So that was one court challenge, and you've got a couple more?
Yes. We have 2 more.
Please don't discuss the case itself, but just what the challenge is.
Yes. There's one that the amendments of the Electoral Act that prevents the appeal on the SOE's decision to the High Court. It took away that. So now we can only appeal to the Electoral Commission, and the Electoral Commission's decision is final. So we're taking that to court. The third one is that this requirement that political parties estimate all their promises in this campaign, to estimate the expenses, estimate the revenue, estimate the impact on the deficit and borrowing.
Yeah,
we certainly think that is way beyond the skills and the understanding of political parties. So that's the third one.
All right, and that's what I want to discuss right now. Some of the amendments to the Fiji Electoral Act 2014. which is in play now more than ever so before. As you'd be aware, Section 116 on financial proof of policies seems to put a burden of responsibility on political parties and also on individual supporters. You have touched on that. What are your views, though, on this onerous responsibilities of this piece of legislation?
It's a trap to the opposition parties. Obviously a trap.
Right.
Yeah. We're doing our own research. We haven't found any country that has adopted this.
Yes.
No. So we obviously don't have the skills, we are saying, no, to estimate these expenses. For instance, we may be proposing a Suva Lautoka road through the interior of Vitilev. You know? How much would that cost?
Yes.
That would depend on how many bridges we need to do, how long are the bridges, all those. We have no chance in the world to do that. So we think it's another tactic of this government to frustrate
Okay.
and even prosecute opposition parties.
Well, I think I know the answer to my next question, and that is that when it comes to releasing party manifestos, etc., there will no doubt, again, be a very, very onerous responsibility, as you said, of costing policies, etc. Now, do you think this is a level playing field? Because it would seem that for costing purposes, the government would be in the box seat.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree with you. And that's deliberate.
Yeah.
There's no logic except political. And that's what is hurting this country. This government has turned everything to protect them staying in power. And that's what's happening. If people look through that and say, this is enough, we want a more freedom. We want a more fair government. And we're not having that. We're not. Government is, of course, none of that. So, yeah, I fully agree with you.
The Attorney General has in the past spoken of free, fair, and credible elections in Fiji. He has also referred to the need to recognize the spirit and intent of the laws. Let us examine that for a moment, Mr. Narube. When we therefore speak of the spirit and intent, is it to stifle effective campaigning with unnecessary and onerous punitive threats of up to $50,000 fines and up to 10 years jail terms, or both, threats of deregistration of political parties and candidates alike? Your thoughts on that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is just built to thwart this election campaign. And that to me is unforgivable. The whole issues of this amendment, I won't talk on details, but the whole issues of amendments, the intent, you look at the intent of those amendments, you are amazed. I am amazed. That those intent and how frivolous they are, and I question those that drafted these amendments. Do they think we are fools? Do they think we are stupid? I tend to believe they do. And the way those amendments are, the intents are worded, we know that they are not true. So I think this is something that I have seen after 2018. I told my colleagues this election will not be the same as any other. This government is going to throw the kitchen sink at the opposition. And that's exactly what they're doing. So to me, a more relevant issue for opposition parties is what are we doing about it? Because we must watch ourselves very, very carefully on this. Otherwise, you said fines and jail sentences await us. Thank you.
Now, having said that, as I mentioned, the Attorney General used words like free, fair, credible elections, spirit, intent. What do you think should be the true spirit and intent of going into elections?
Yeah. I wish I could talk a lot about the spirit of this amendment, but I can't. But generally, the spirit of a good election that gives the free and fair opportunity for people to elect their members should be to be based on following principles. First, they should be realistic of the Fiji situation. No? They should be quite understandable of what a country can do or cannot do. The second is that the implementation of these policies are fair across the board. And this is something that we have complained about. We make allegations, we make complaints about the Fiji First government is 100% going to be knocked away by the elections office. And that brings me to the third, which is the independence of the elections office and the Electoral Commission between themselves and between both of them with government. So that is not here. That independence is not here. So it gives doubt to a free and fair elections in Fiji, grave doubt. And I think this is something that the principles of good laws for free and fair elections. Thank you, Pastor.
Given that people may perceive that they don't have those good and fair laws in place, given that, how can the people of Fiji be guaranteed free and fair elections then? I mean, what must be done and seen to be done for the conduct of free and fair elections?
There were two issues that I came out of the 2018 elections that I thought opposition parties should focus on. One is that we unite in a grand coalition before the 2022 election. The second is that we should look at ways we scrutinize this election to ensure that there is a free and fair elections. So on the later one, what we need to do there is to, of course, scrutinize the elections. But that is not enough. We really need to look at an alternative system of recording the votes in the elections. And that's we are working at that amongst ourselves, and we hope we can improve a lot on what we didn't have in 2018 elections.
All right, you mentioned the first thing was a grand coalition. I will come back and discuss that with you further down the track. I have a few specific questions to ask you on that.
Right.
But for now, let me touch on media freedom and independence. The fourth estate, the media in any country, plays a very significant role in giving the people incisive commentaries, editorial comments, investigative reports on political parties and politicians alike. This has always been critical to free and fair elections in any country. What about Fiji? Is the media in Fiji free and independent?
Yeah, I think you're asking a rhetoric question, but it is not. And this government, if you would understand it, one of the first things that they did was to acquire media outlets in Fiji, right? So they had many outlets that are now media outlets that are owned by government. To me, I don't see any reason whatsoever for government to be owning media. But you've seen the reach of this government across all aspects of the media: radio, television, newspapers, everything. So that means that the independence of the media is not there. We've seen that. We've seen that. For parties, we have given our media releases. We know that many of those media outlets will not pick them up. So for us, that's a big issue, and thank you for raising that. Now, the Media Act sits very heavily on this media. We must throw away that Media Act, or at least reform it. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the current situation. We do not have media independence in Fiji, which means that those of us in the oppositions are, to us, really, really seriously handicapped by that. And we're seeing that already. Thank you.
Okay, now in recent weeks, there has been a barrage of complaints made by the Attorney General. In your opinion, Mr. Narube, what is at play here? Is it a well-orchestrated attempt to get rid of key political opponents? That is a political strategy, or is there something else at play?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a strategy. And that strategy doesn't sit on its own, as I've tried to emphasize right throughout our discussion.
Yes.
This government doesn't do piecemeal strategy. You look at the strings of those strategies and you will see clearly that some of these things have been orchestrated way, way earlier than many of us think. They have set the law. They've made the amendments. They have set a new a court, especially to hear this as quickly as possible. They are now making the complaints based on those amendments. And those complaints are being taken to a supervisor of election, which we believe is not independent. So you combine all that. So AG's complaint is now going to increase over time.
Yes.
So that is the reality of the matter here in Fiji, ladies and gentlemen, that we must take into account.
Okay. Your Unity Fiji representative recently was referred to FICAC for probable breach of Section 1141. Please explain to me, how does an offer of some sporting jerseys to a sports team by a member of a political party defeat the spirit and intent of law? And let me add, just compare this to the nationwide distribution of agricultural tools, seeds, and other stuff openly provided by the Fiji First government in a period when election campaigning has begun in full swing from the last week of April. What are your views on this?
It is ridiculous. Again, orchestrated, Shashi, against the opposition. This is ridiculous. As you said, government is going around now distributing all those, the fibers, whatever, you name it. Knives, the forks, I've seen it in communities that we have, some that we have visited. So yeah, what's different? Nothing. But they are above the law. And they are using our money to make matters worse, while we are using our own money. So that particular case that you have referred to, is based on that help. That if we give money to help somebody out of our goodwill, out of our intention to help that person, that can be turned against us. How ridiculous that can be in our country. But it is here. It is here. We have our own legal advice on that, and we will watch ourselves very carefully to be in line with that legal advice.
Now, we have watched the way Parliament has been functioning since the Fiji First Party has been in Parliament, has been in government. Bills are rushed in such quick time. What are your views on what I call the bulldozer effect of Standing Order 51?
Oh yeah, I mean we have been living with that since Parliament was restored in 2014. We have seen that. I'm not in Parliament, as you know.
Yes.
This is one of the major issues. Parliament, as you know, has the very important role of making the government accountable to the people. That scrutiny of laws, scrutiny of budgets have been reduced by this abuse of that Standing Order 51. You know, that is unforgivable. And it's happening again. But again, as I always say, this will continue to happen. What do we do about it? Should we take it to court or do something else? Well, people have told me, well, the quickest way to do it is just to remove them.
Yes, and you've said that today, that
Yes.
rather than talking and talking and talking, it's vote at the ballot box and change the system, change the current government.
Yep.
Which
Exactly.
brings me to yet another point on the current government. How transparent and accountable are they? I mean, I know what your answer is going to be, but
Yeah.
I've got to ask you this. How transparent and accountable is the current government?
Yeah, well, that accountability, as we just mentioned, one of the processes is Parliament. You know? Accountability in Parliament is really weakened because of the abuse of that standing order. The accountability through the auditor's report, yeah, we have weakened that too. You know, I think the past auditor was asked to go because of some of the things that was in the report. Yeah, the other aspect of transparency, which is, I said, for purposes of good governance, transparency. Yeah, transparency. If a minister makes intervention in a tender decision, it should be transparent. It should be reported. I've called for that. Right now, they're not. So they are not transparent. They are not accountable. And to me, those two pillars of good governance, good democracy should be strengthened, and we will do so.
I find it amazing in the sense that when a government deals with public money, yet does not come out openly to discuss that particular expenditure. The point in hand is, of course, this week questions were asked as to how much money was being paid to outside lawyers, and there wasn't a forthright answer coming to that. And it is the public's money at the end of the day. That
Mhm.
money doesn't belong to a minister per se.
No,
Don't you think that there ought to be a system in place where these things, if questions are asked, that they are answered?
absolutely. I mean, the answers are obvious. Why are they not being done? Huh? Again, what's the agenda behind this? You're absolutely right. The people or the government has the state law office to take care of all its legal issues. No, many of these challenges going to court, like the 3 cases that Fiji Labour Party and Unity Fiji have filed. The lawyer is from a private firm. And again, private firm lawyers are very expensive, as you know. So again, it's strange that these things have been mentioned. We also have a public relations firm that looks after this government. We have the Ministry of Information that does that. But no, they have deferred to this guy and to this company with a $2 million allocation. So those are the very, very obvious examples of this. And, it's about time we clean all that out.
Mr. Narube, do you think the public in Fiji are aware of all these machinations, the agenda of the government, the non-transparent nature of things that they do? Do you think the public really care? Are they aware of it?
I think that awareness needs to improve. They're aware of many things, but some aspects of what we have discussed, no. There's very little awareness of that. If they are not aware, they're not concerned. Once they get aware, then they will be concerned. So the responsibility is in opposition parties to make these people aware. And that's why I say, let's start listing these things out. And let's start publishing that list or getting people to know of this. And these are not just views. These are not views. These are facts. These are facts. And we cannot be blamed for anything that is factual. So I think we need to make that awareness much better.
Speaking of that awareness, I believe an important aspect of that, for example, you've made a few very, very pertinent points in today's interview so far. Unfortunately, this is an English program. It's not in the vernacular. I mean, it'll be amazing if this was somehow translated into the Ethioke language, for instance, to really get the message across to the population, the Ethiopians, for instance, or in the Hindi language. Although Hindi language itself, a number of the younger generation don't know how to read that nowadays. Therein lies an issue of getting the message across in the vernacular. I'm sure you'd agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. I hope we can start do that. In Unity Fiji, we have just started to translate some of those. It's not easy, but we have to do it. And again, the independence of the media is an issue there. Yeah. If we have to make that awareness, we need the media to carry some of that for us.
All right. Now, at this juncture, let me explore with you your past employment, your employment record. In May this year, you made a startling claim while campaigning in Naithasiri that you were forced to lie and paint a rosy picture about the Fijian economy to the world while you were the Reserve Bank of Fiji governor. Who was it that forced you to lie and paint the rosy picture?
Yeah, after any coup, foreign governments and international agencies will not listen to coup makers. They will listen to somebody who is more independent. If there's a governor, they will ask it for his or her views. And this is what happens. As I said, I came through 2 coups as a governor of the Reserve Bank, 2000. I was appointed as a governor on a Monday in May in 2000. The coup happened on Friday. And then also the 2006 coup. So the government, who in government, I won't tell you, but they wanted me to paint rosy picture. This came not in writing, not in email. So it came kind of informal channels. So they wanted me to paint a rosy picture. That's quite normal. But I refused.
Okay.
I refused. And the second thing, they asked me to devalue the Fiji dollar. I refused.
Okay.
And I think those were the two reasons. Those two reasons. There are many others that I was kicked out the same day that they abrogated the 1997 Constitution.
Okay.
So 1 week after I left, the dollar was devalued by 20%.
Okay. Now, during that same campaign in Naithasiri, you revealed, and you just said you were kicked out, you revealed that you were sacked in 2009 because you refused to follow orders issued by the PM. You actually mentioned the PM. Is this the same orders to paint a rosy picture, or was this in relation to, for example, the devaluation of the dollar?
No, I didn't mention the PM. I wouldn't
Okay.
mention anybody
All right. Okay.
for that.
Okay.
If that came from the PM, it'll be very unlikely.
Right.
So no. So I didn't refer and name anybody.
All right. Well, looking at your termination, you said that you refused to follow orders. So just to reaffirm, orders of painting a rosy picture, orders to devalue, those are the two sort of orders you're talking about.
Yeah, those are the
Okay.
two major issues that we were dealing with at that time.
After having served the government and the public of Fiji for well over 3 decades, Mr. Narube, how did this make you feel? The termination of your employment, the sacking from your post as the governor of the Reserve Bank of Fiji.
Yeah, I had given my service to the people of Fiji for 32 years. And in my view, I gave all what I knew. I served faithfully, loyally, worked hard to serve this country and its people. The day I was sacked was one of the most embarrassing days in my life. It's embarrassing. That's what I came away with, to serve a country faithfully and be treated the way I was treated. It to me was really horrifying. And I say again, that those things that I stood for, I stood firmly on. I stood firmly on those principles. I didn't compromise those principles. And that's why I had to leave. If I had compromised my principles, I wouldn't have been sacked.
Yes.
No.
Well, you would have been a yes man then.
Absolutely. I would have been a yes man. I am not a yes man. Never in my life I've been a yes man. People that know me knows I stand very fast, very firmly on my independence.
Let me say one thing. You have no cause for embarrassment, as you said. That could have been one of the lowest points in your life. But I mean, I know where you're coming from. I've had something similar in my early career as well. So it's a lowest point in one's life, but certainly not an embarrassment. And I just wanted to mention that to you. Now, Mr. Narube, the Attorney General has said that you were a failure as the governor of the Reserve Bank of Fiji. What is your response to that?
Yeah, I have no failures in the Reserve Bank. He hasn't provided any specific. But I tell you, He has a lot more failures than anyone I know. As I said, I served as the governor through 2 coups. Those were crisis times for us. And those
Right.
crisis times, if you look at the track record, we managed to protect our foreign reserves and rebuild the economy very quickly after those.
Sure.
Some say, well, the foreign reserves were low. Of course they were low because we were in a crisis, for goodness sake.
Sure.
But we manage it. We manage it. And foreign reserves, as I pointed out to the minister, is a result of many factors. He's just propping up foreign reserves by borrowing, a lot of borrowing. So that's not a smart thing to do. So to me, I did a lot of things in the Reserve Bank in protecting our country during a crisis and instituted several reforms that this country is benefiting from.
All right, now the Attorney General has also revealed that you held both the PSF and the Governor of the Reserve Bank of Fiji positions, and that this was a big conflict of interest. What do you have to say to this?
Yeah. Uh, yeah. As I said, I rejoined the Reserve Bank as governor on a Monday, I think middle of May in 2000, and the coup went down on Friday. And no one has filled my permanent secretary of finance position. So the PSC asked me, please, can you take care of finance? Remember, the country was in a crisis.
Yes.
So I had to agree. It was in the national interest.
Sure.
So Fiji is much better off with that appointment. And let me remind everybody that I was not paid for looking after the Ministry of Finance.
Okay.
There's no conflict in that role. In fact, to me, as I know monetary and fiscal policies, these were complementary, and we needed that coordination at that critical time. No? There's no conflict of interest. The real conflict of interest is the AG taking other portfolios in government. That's the interest. That is the real conflict of interest. The real conflict is in the appointment of the largest borrower as chairman of the FDB. The real conflict is Fiji Airways taking over AFL. So what conflict is AG talking about? Nah, it's just shooting at shadows.
All right. You are watching Sashi Singh's Talking Point, and our chief guest today is Mr. Savenaca Narube, former governor of the Reserve Bank of Fiji and leader of the Unity Fiji Party. Please like and share the SSTP page if you can, so that we may share this interview with as many people as possible. Now, you have in the past, Mr. Narube, been critical of coups and coup makers. There is a perception amongst some in government circles that the 2006 coup was a good coup. Is there a difference between a good coup and a bad coup? I thought a coup is a coup is a coup.
Yes. A coup is a coup. It's a coup. And I think those that are comparing coups, I think there's an insult to the people of Fiji. How can they do that? One even said his coup benefited those that are now living a better life abroad. I mean, really? For a leader to say that is demeaning to me and insulting. What about many that suffered because of the coups? And there's been a lot that suffered. Those that travel abroad are the richer people that can go abroad and establish a new life there. What about those that couldn't afford to go anywhere? So to me, I have estimated the coup, and it's costing about $3 billion. So we have had 3 of these. And imagine where we would be without those 3 coups. There's no such thing as a good and bad coup. I think it is about time we restore a civilian-led government to this country. We have had enough of.
So
Yes.
go on. Please go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, we have had enough of government leadership by coup makers.
You just mentioned that you've estimated the cost of each coup to be, did you say $3 billion?
Yes,
That each time Fiji has had a coup, that's what it has cost the country. Wow, that is
yes.
amazing. And what was the basis of your calculation? Very quickly, if I may ask.
Yeah, we're basing it on the economic decline that actually happened,
Hmm.
GDP, but we also estimating what we call the opportunity cost. The opportunity costs are very hard to estimate.
Yes.
Yeah, but we have to have a go at that, the opportunity cost. What could we have done without the coup? Yeah,
Right.
so that opportunity cost, we will not recover it at all. That's
Okay.
gone. That's a welfare loss for us. Yeah. So that's
By
the
any yeah,
basis of my calculation.
by any standard of measure, be it 1 billion, 2 billion, or 3 billion, as you've estimated, is an awesome amount of a loss to a country. And that is the sad indictment of the coup culture. That's my view. And
Absolutely. I agree with
I
you.
move on. Mr. Narumbe. Both
Mhm.
the Fiji First Party and the People's Alliance have two coup makers as their leaders. What are your views on these two leaders, or coup makers, as some would prefer to call them?
Yeah, yeah. That's why I'm calling to please restore civilian led government. You know, I think
Hmm.
we need to look forward. You know, we need to change from the past. We cannot go back and back to the past. You know, there's nothing there for us. We must now look forward to the future. What do we do here? No, and that to me what drives me to be in this space. No? That we need to look forward to bringing back hope to our people. We need to make sure that we bring back that prosperity that I know it's here. You know? And so we need that new pair of shoes to
But
take us.
what about your views on those two leaders, though? You got Mr. Sitiveni Rambuka on one side and Mr. Mbani Marama on the other side, both coup makers. Your
Well,
views on them?
as I said, they are free to stand for elections, to go to the voters. That's their freedom.
All
I'm
right, and
appealing to the voters
right,
themselves. Yeah, to say,
to
well,
bring about change, so Fiji is led by a civilian government.
absolutely, because it's the people that is going to make that happen. So the two leaders they can go and seek elections or
Okay.
run for the elections, but I'm asking the people to please so
All right.
restore that civilian-led government. Look forward. We cannot afford to look back and to be stuck in that rut. We need to look forward, and we look forward to their votes to take us forward.
Okay. I would now like to discuss the Unity Fiji and SODELPA Memorandum of Understanding. However, before I do that, whatever happened to the Unity Fiji Party and the Fiji Labour Party understanding, partnership?
Yeah, we signed a MOU
Hmm.
with the Fiji Labour Party, and there's another party called Freedom Alliance.
Yes.
Uh, as I said, one of my aims after the 2018 election was try to bring all the opposition parties together. So the MOU was signed between the three of us to help us try to get uh, the coalition that we want. But of
Okay.
course, that is not possible. because party leaders of other parties have said they are not supporting that coalition anymore. So to me, that MOU just naturally lapsed. So we're just working together to try to form a grand coalition. That has not happened. So that that was not a coalition for the election. No, it was not.
Okay. I'm going to come to the grand election, grand coalition in a moment. But your memorandum of understanding between your party and SODELPA, what commonality does your party have with SODELPA?
Yeah, we were happy to sign that MOU. The commonalities with SODELPA, I think we are both against many of the positions and the policies of this government on many fronts. On many fronts, I think we also would like to develop our resource-based industries, and that would to me help employment as well as the income of the rural people. And I think one of the most important things we see eye to eye is that we have equity amongst ethnic groups on all forms of all sectors of government. And that's something that we are pushing or would like to see done.
There have been a number of defections from SODELPA, and there is an expectation out there that as soon as this term of parliament comes to an end, there will be further defections. Now, do these defections hurt Unity Fiji in this partnership?
You mean the defections from SODELPA?
Yes.
No, it's this MOU we need to understand properly of what is this MOU with SODELPA. It is not a coalition. We will have our own set of candidates. We'll have our manifesto separately. We will campaign separately. It is basically in some areas we could work together and share resources. And those areas are basically two. One is in the scrutiny of the elections, where we can pool our resources, and also in areas of research in these issues. That's basically some of the areas we can work together. So it is not a coalition as what you would think.
Okay.
It's simply just to work together. So whatever happens in SODELPA will not directly come to us. No.
Point taken. All right, you've clarified that. Now, the Attorney General said in Parliament this week that SODELPA leader, William Ngavoka, is a weak leader, unlike the Fiji First leader. You've entered into the MOU with SODELPA. What are your views on Mr. Ngavoka as the leader of SODELPA?
I think we all know that SODELPA has come through some tough times in leadership. We know Rambuka jumped soon after he failed to be elected as a leader. And I guess SODELPA is going through some adjustment phase for leaders. In terms of Bill's leadership, I think it's made some good progress in stabilizing the party. I think his son-in-law calling him a weak leader has really crossed some personal lines between the two. I think the son-in-law could have used other words more appropriate to it. But Unity Fiji is happy to work with Bill Ngavoka under this MOU.
Okay.
I won't go into details or my thoughts on what he's doing at the moment in SODELPA, but just the way I see it from our side, that he's made some good progress. Thank you.
All right, I take that. Now, looking at the Unity Fiji party, Recently, the resignation of former General Secretary of your party, Satish Kumar, raised concerns of issues of disunity in the press. How united is your party, Unity Fiji?
Yeah, the former Secretary General of Unity Fiji was already suspended.
Okay.
We suspended him from his position as General Secretary and from the board for very serious offenses to undermine the party. So he was already under suspicion. His allegations are false and motivated by his grudge against the party, and therefore should not be taken seriously. We shouldn't breathe oxygen into something that it's false and not credible. We in Unity Fiji, we are stronger with departures of some of the people from the party, including the Secretary General. So we have work to do. We have set a plan, and we are stronger to implement those plans, Sashi. Thank you.
Fair enough. While not wanting to give oxygen to any wild allegations, I must raise just one allegation with you, if I may, please.
Yeah,
There was an allegation made that no AGM has been held in the last 5 years. How do you respond to that?
yeah, he's right.
Mhm.
We haven't had AGM until this year. And there were
Okay.
good reasons. We explained it to the AGM this year. We were
Okay.
established in late 2017, so we had to jump straight into the election in 2018. A new
Yeah.
party, new processes, everything. We had to start from scratch. So after the election 2018, we rebuilt it in 2019. And then the COVID hit in 2020 and 2021.
Yes. Sure.
So 2022 was a good year for us to hold our first AGM, which we did in April. It was very successful. I think nearly 400 people attending from all over Fiji. But Shashi, I know one party that has not held an AGM for 16 years.
Yes. Yes. We all know that, don't we?
Uh,
Okay. Um, this next point I'm going to raise is just in passing, but I find it interesting. You recently claimed that after the 2018 elections, some political parties have virtually copied your party's name and motto. You said that a political party chose Uniting Fiji as its motto. However, the General Secretary of the NFP, Seni Nambo, said that Uniting Fiji party does not have ownership of the word unity or uniting. She said that the NFP started Uniting Fiji 14 years ago, from 2008, and that it was the title of NFP's historical publication, marking 45 years of the party's existence as Fiji's oldest political party since 1963. I ask you, what's in a name, and has your party not formed its own true identity yet? What was all this about?
right. I clarified to a media that we are not claiming that we have rights to the word unity.
Mm-hmm.
But it just struck me after 28 that a lot of other parties started using that, including NFP. I think for
Mm-hmm.
the first time I saw them using this Uniting Fiji as their motto under
Mm-hmm.
their name. Yeah. They didn't have that before the 2018 election. They may have put it as a title in their publication, but definitely not as a motto. So
Right.
I said, well, we're not claiming rights to this word, but please leave our name and our motto alone. You can show some originality in devising your own. And that, of course, another one. We have our motto that we registered our party under, which is people first. Very important motto for us. So
Yes.
now another party came through this year saying, adding the word putting before people
Mm.
first. They
Putting
said,
people first.
yeah. So, uh, so, so I threw it my thoughts. I said, well, come on, guys. Show some originality. Leave our name alone and our motto.
All right, we'll move on. Now, at the time of signing the MOU, you said that Unity Fiji was strong in prioritizing people's interest, and that you were happy, that you were pleased that SODELPA also shared the same interest. What I'd like to know from you is what priorities are important to you and what priorities are you referring to? You may have covered those, but
Hmm.
talking about prioritizing people's interest, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it comes down to our motto of putting people first.
Mhm.
It is generated out of my observation of politicians. Once they get in, they forget people. Once they get in and into parliament, they tend to forget people. And people have been telling us that in our campaign. So we want to put people first. The priorities must be the people. And what does that mean in
Yes.
specific issues? I think for us, it will mean listening to the people, consulting the people. You know, this government doesn't do that.
Mm.
And actually going to prioritizing the issues that they find, that they tell us is priority, wherever they are. I think we know some of those priorities. We're talking about jobs. And now, the rise in cost of living. We know that. So we're going to prioritize that. We have been talking to some, and they say water is a big problem in their place for a long time. So we'll prioritize that. So that's what I mean. Bringing forth what they tell us is the priorities rather than what we think should be the priorities of where they are.
Okay. Let me address matters in relation to your party's candidates. Unity Fiji has announced some of its candidates. How is the campaign going, and when is your party releasing its final list of provisional candidates?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. I'll just start with what Unity Fiji could basing its campaign is. The first is that we think that we have the clean and proven leadership that people can trust. Trust is a very important issue in this election, and the proven leadership that people can trust. And the second issue we are putting to the people, we think we have unmatched skills and experience in economic and financial management that will give them the relief in jobs, that will reduce poverty and over time reduce debt. And we are saying we are new.
Right.
We new and we have the experience, so we can bring new and innovative solutions to what the people are suffering for. And lastly, I think we have a reasonably strong team, which comes to that issue of candidates. If I can just answer that very quickly.
Yes, sure.
We will nominate 55 candidates in this election. Last election, we nominated 27
Okay.
candidates. So that's a big step up for us. The board has approved 51 as of today.
Mhm.
So that leaves 4.
Yes.
We have announced 44 of that 51.
Okay.
And we hope to announce the remainder in about 3 weeks' time. But the most
All right.
important issue here is when is the election?
When is the election?
When is the election, Shashi?
Well, I believe when I look at my crystal ball, it'll be sometime in November.
Thank you. I think we might be using the same crystal ball.
Yeah, that's how I gauge it. But and who am I to know?
Yes.
Moving on, Mr. Narube, how do you gauge the mood of the electorate? You're there on
Yeah.
the ground. You meet a lot of people. What's the mood of the electorate like?
Oh, the mood is clearly for change,
Mhm.
Shashi. Overwhelming demand for change. Yeah. people appreciate some of the things that this government has given them. And for us, Unity Fiji says we'll continue doing that for you. But our major issue is what takes us forward more than what this government has done in the last year. So for them, once they know a lot of this information, they've just said, we have had enough of this government. We had
Okay.
enough of the lies, if enough of the trickery that this government is handing out now and then. So it's really, really very encouraging that they are calling for change.
And what sort of issues are people raising with you? Is it just bread and butter issues, daily living issues? What's
Yes.
really on the minds of the electorate?
It depends on the geographical location.
Mm-hmm.
If you go out to the rural areas, there's a different set of issues. If you come closer to towns and cities, of course, what they tell us is prices is too high, jobs are not there. So those are bread and butter issues. Housing issues are prevalent here, closer to towns and cities. In the rural areas, they're talking a lot more about how can the government help them to use their resources a lot more than what they have now. So those are the kind of issues coming through.
All right. I'd like to talk now about the Grand Coalition, so to say.
Okay.
Professor Steve Ratuva recently spoke about the smaller parties' effect in the forthcoming elections. Do you think, if you think about it, do you think there is a need for a grand coalition of parties?
Yeah, when we talk about grand coalition, let's be quite specific what we mean.
Such as, all right.
Right.
Well, when I talk about the possibility of a grand coalition, I mean, if there is a genuine call for a change in government, then is there not a sense in getting together to make that change for Fiji's sake and not for any individual's sake? So if parties decided to come together post-election and join their forces together to get the numbers to make an effective change, is there not merit in that?
Yeah. There is, as you defined it, post-election. Coalition
Yes.
post-election. I think there is a lot of appetite for that, for all the other opposition parties to come together in the event that no single party can win government on its own. That's the coalition that I think you are talking about, and that is appetite for that. There is a good likelihood that a single party may not be able to win government on its own. So we have expressed our position there in Fiji. We are happy to work with the opposition parties, but we are not going to work with Fiji First.
I appreciate that, what you've just said. If there is an appetite to accommodate post-election, a gathering of forces, don't you think that at least the opposition parties, the leaders I'm talking about, should at least sit at a table and find some common ground in moving forward so that the public of Fiji know that when they go to cast their vote, they know that at the end of the elections, there is a possibility of a government of national unity, which is going to be formed by the major political players in the country.
Yes, I think that's good dividends there. If we can get some general understanding of that. The coalition or the MOU, sorry, that we signed with Sodelpa refers to that without making any specifics, that we'll work together after the election if required. And to me anyway, it'll be good if we have all the other opposition parties have the same understanding. That'll be great.
Yeah, similarly, the People's Alliance and the NFP Memorandum of Understanding also has a policy, I believe, in there that they're welcome for other parties to join post-election. So that is similar to what you've got with SODELPA as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
I,
right.
I'd like to, at this juncture, share something with you,
Mhm.
and I'm going to read this for you. My poster trailer, as you know, I advertised you were appearing on this show. My poster trailer for you was shared by Mr. Graham Davis on his Grub Sheet page on Facebook. There
Mhm.
was one comment that stood out that I want to read to you, and I quote, "Good and humble advice to Savenaca. We want him and need him in the PA-NFP partnership. Savenaca is a great asset in Fiji, intellectually, professionally, and personally. It has, however, been difficult to understand his argument on Rambuka's coup past. Rambuka is the only coup maker who not only regrets his actions leading to the coup, and the period straight after the coup, his association with people who plotted, encouraged the coup, and the disastrous consequences to Fiji of his coup. He has apologized and asked for forgiveness many times. He showed his remorseness by joining Jairam Reddy to atone and give us the 1997 Constitution. Many Fijian Indians who were the direct victims of the coup and its aftermath and suffered terribly only because of their racial origins, have heard Rambuka's call for forgiveness and forgiven him unconditionally. This action by the Fijian Indians is a monumental action, never to be taken lightly. I would like Save to take that into account coming from us. Many of us want him to be in the winning formula to serve us all in government. Being in opposition will not achieve anything for all Fijians. I join in this call, this appeal, this entreaty to Mr. Savenaca Narube at this late stage to join the partnership, as I did appeal to him in 2018 through Kalio Tavola. End of quote. This was a comment posted by Ambassador Robin Nair
Mhm.
that I've just read to you. What do you say to that comment? It's a cry for you to participate in national unity.
Yeah, thank you for that. A few points there. Uh, I, I note, of course, what he's saying about Rambuka's apology and so forth. I won't comment on that. That's his privilege. I will
Sure.
just comment on going forward, taking the country forward. And I feel that, as I said, give back, restore civilian-led government. That to me is an important step of taking this country forward. If we talk about coups and whose coup is better, who has apologized, who has not, we are stuck in the past. We're certainly stuck in the past. The way forward is, according to Graham, is for me to go to where he says I should go. I don't think that's a fair comment. No, I think he is predicting that that is the only approach to Parliament. I differ with him.
Okay.
I think people are becoming more cognitive and to understand the issues that they need to vote on. And if you're basing whatever is the size of a party based on what perceived statements from people or opinion polls by some agencies, I think we need to be very careful because the mood is changing. The mood is changing. And people are looking out for something new, something that they can trust in this election. So that's where we're coming from. If he is
All right.
predicting, Graham is suggesting we are in opposition, I hope I can prove him wrong. Absolutely.
It wasn't Graham. It was Ambassador Robin Nair who wrote that as a comment. It
Oh,
wasn't
sorry.
Graham.
Sorry,
It
Graham.
it
Yeah,
appeared on Graham's
Ambassador,
blog
I will
site.
prove you wrong. Thank you.
All right. I respect your opinion. Now, what are your views of the Fiji First Party? I know you've been very critical for the majority of this. How do you think they performed as government?
We just spent the last 2 hours talking about their performance.
Yes.
They haven't performed anything. As I said, performance could be up or down. What I really regret is their human rights, their fear, their intimidation. No, that's it. To me,
All right.
no, a beautiful country such as Fiji to be brought to that level is tragic. So that's a short answer to what this
All right.
government is.
And what about your views on the People's Alliance and the NFP post-election coalition?
I know a lot of people there. They have very good people, I think. But what I thought, the approach that they took, they were exclusive. They didn't invite anybody else, which I thought was rather strange. Unity Fiji was not invited. Southern Power was not invited. Yeah, so that's my view. It's a bit exclusive. I feel that we need to be as inclusive as possible in the opposition.
What do you think it will take to get the major opposition parties to sit around a table, discuss their differences, discuss their commonalities, and reach some form of consensus before the election? Is there a
I think it's
possibility?
possible, but we need to go in there with not preconceived positions.
Mhm.
You know, once we get into preconceived positions, and that's unfortunately what has happened, then that will be quite difficult. You know?
Okay.
I had put together a framework that is very inclusive in what my thinking is on a grand coalition. I thought that might work, but no, it was knocked out by some leaders. And to me, if we are going to come in and discuss, let's put everything aside. Let's go in with good faith and a position that we could all develop from scratch. There's a lot of good thinking around on that.
Well, the public, I'm sure, certainly hopes that with that kind of good thinking that is around, that common sense will prevail for the betterment of the country, and Fiji is the priority, and not an
Absolutely.
individual who is the priority.
Yep.
Now, Mr. Narube, if change is imminent, and as you said earlier, people want change, and assuming this happens, what should be the top priorities for a new government that comes in? What should be the immediate priorities?
Yeah, we have kind of discussed those within in Unity Fiji. There are a few things I think that are quite important. One, we need to take a stock take to know the actual depth of the mess that we are in. I think we will be surprised that some of the things we'll find there that we are in a deeper mess than what we think we are. We would like to clean up corruption as quickly as possible and undertake expenditure reforms, which we can undertake immediately to stabilize the financial position of the country.
Okay.
I, for one, would like to really improve our health services and take some economic reforms that I mentioned earlier, take some bite at that. And to me, I would really also like to start healing the wounds of the past. You know, we have been wounded, a lot of us, in the past. You know, some are still carrying those wounds. You know, for us to be able to chart a united Fiji moving forward, we must heal these wounds of the past. And I would like to start that. It may take a while, but I think we should start to do that as quickly as possible in the new government.
That's a great thought indeed. I know I've touched on your MOU with Sodelpa. Just a question that came into mind. Will Unity Fiji be prepared to join another party or a couple of political parties to form government if that ever came through?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, yeah, we will look at other parties.
Okay.
You know, our aim is to change government, but we will not be partners with Fiji First.
All right. Good. We'll move on. Now, what do you see as the greatest political challenge in Fiji today?
There are many. Yeah. I think let me organize my thought. It has to start with leadership. You know, everything falls or rises with leadership. And this leadership, I think I have stressed a few times in our discussion today. Leadership that you can trust. Leadership who you can trust. And I think that trust element is coming strongly to the fore now than before. The second challenge that I see is we put people first. Put people first, not us politicians. I know I'm a newcomer into politics. I bring a bit more new views, but what I see doesn't give me comfort. So I'd really like to change things around and put people first. And another one is we should put aside our self-interest for the national interest. I've seen that being played here, even amongst opposition parties. And I agonize over that. I said, I'm new into Parliament. I am very strong in the national interest. If I stand in the national interest, I will review that. And again, the last one, enough of this military-led government. We must restore a civilian-led government in this election. Those are the four challenges, Sash.
Well summarized. In fact, is there a need, do you think, for a commission of inquiry post-elections to examine some of the dealings of this current government?
Oh,
Or will
absolutely.
that, all right, there you go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We are thinking of a Peace and Reconciliation Commission. That's a bigger issue, but I think there will be a few commission of inquiry. What I'm thinking about, let's inquire about the USP case. What happened there? Let's inquire about the management of COVID. This country has paid a big price for COVID.
Yes.
Through our people that have died. Our death ratio per capita is one of the highest in the world. Why did that happen? I think we need some inquiry into cases of police brutality, for instance. And this Malolo case is one that intrigues me personally. I think it needs a commission of inquiry. But those are some of my own personal views. Thank you.
Okay, I respect that. Now, as you know, I think there are about 9 political parties registered now, a number of other smaller parties registered to contest the elections. Do you think these smaller parties, will there be a hindrance to splitting votes?
Yeah, I think that applies to all parties. not only small.
Mhm.
The label of small and big to me is irrelevant. The people will make that choice in this election.
Mhm.
The only thing that we are sure now, of course, is Sodelpa has the largest number in parliament, and NFP has some. The rest are not in parliament. Yeah? So we should not be throwing those kind of labels around. Uh, there's no guarantee of anyone going over the threshold. That's my view.
Okay.
So we need to build our own case. Unity Fiji is confident. We didn't make the threshold last time, but the issue there was we didn't have much time to prepare. A new party coming out of registration with nothing on the ground. So we have changed that. We are much more better prepared. People know us now across Fiji. As we travel around, they know us. Yeah. And they like the newness of our messages. They like it. So I think we're emphasizing our skills, our leadership, and there's positive feedback. But there's no guarantee for us. We know that. So we'll continue to work at getting over the threshold, which I believe will be around 27,000 votes.
Yes. All right. Well, you're confident of that, which is good for you and your party. It augurs well. As we head to the finishing line, Mr. Narube,
Hmm.
and before I ask you for your concluding remarks, what does Fiji Unity Party bring to the people of Fiji? I know we've been speaking for the best part of 3 hours now, but this would be like a summation on your part.
Okay. Yeah. As I said, what do we bring?
Yes.
We bring that proven leadership that we have shown to the country. And if you look at our record of our leadership, that's hard to beat in any other political parties, including Fiji First. And I guess this is the challenge for us, continue to do that. And the second, we bring new things. As I said, let's not look back to the past. Let's look forward. We get a new leader to take us forward. And thirdly, we have skills, knowledge, and experience in these two biggest challenges that we face, which is the economy and our financial position. I think our leadership there is unmatched with any other parties. So we bring that confidence to the people that will be able to solve our economic and financial issues. And as I said, thirdly or fourthly, we have a good team, a very good team that will give confidence to the people that will be able to do what we need to do. Thank you.
Okay. And what is your message to the electorate?
Yeah, we have a very important election coming up. You know? I think for us, as what I have seen across Fiji, some of us tend to take those elections very lightly. That election can bring peace. That vote can bring prosperity to you personally in your families. So don't treat this election lightly. And I'm also asking that we do not vote blindly. Vote blindly. Know who you're voting for. No? Know the leaders of political parties that you're voting for very well. Look at their past. Look at their past. Look at their personality. And then we must vote for the leader whom you can trust to take us forward. A leader that you can trust. And that trust is up to you, the people, to form that trust. And as I say again, we must restore the leadership to the people. And lastly, Shashi, please, this is a very important election. Many of us, we don't discuss this politics in our family. I'm asking, please take down those discussions on politics and voting to your family to discuss.
All right, well said. And have you got everything off your chest today? Is there anything else you want to talk about before my final question?
Uh, Thank you. No, I think we have covered a lot of issues.
We have indeed.
Shashi.
We have.
I think I've exhausted all
All
issues
right.
that I wish to cover. Thank you.
All right. Finally, do you have any comments on the SSTP program that you've just participated in? You've been our guest 2 times now.
Yes, I have been participated twice. Thank you very much for your invitation. I think your approach is very professional. I've been to other programs. Sorry, but I think yours is probably the best in terms of your professional approach. Very comprehensive coverage of issues. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
But perhaps if anything, as what I mentioned before, discussion could be asked to focus not so much on this government, not so much because we spend a lot of energy doing that, but focus on what people or parties or anyone that can bring to the people at this time. So the last issue, I don't know. I don't know the scope of your guests. It'll also be good to get guests from the sectors outside politics, particularly the social issues that we were talking about.
Good.
Those are my views.
Wonderful. I sincerely appreciate that feedback. It gives us room to think about future directions as well. For your information, we've had Shamima Ali from the Women's Crisis Center. We've had Sashi Kiran from Friends, Fiji.
Okay.
And in the pipeline, we've got a few other non-political guests in the pipeline.
Okay.
Mr. Savenaca Narube, a very, very big Vinaka Vakalevu to you, sir. Thank you very much for being my chief guest in Sashi Singh's Talking Point today. As always, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you as chief guest. I thank you for discussing the various topics that I've raised with you in today's program. Your frank views, suggestions, responses, they have been most welcome. What I'd like to do is to extend to you an open invitation to participate in SSTP one more time once the writ of elections is issued, to put your party's manifesto, etc. And just before the election, you'll be more than welcome to appear on a special SST episode that I'll be hosting just before the election, and that will allow you and other political party leaders the opportunity to give your last message to the electorate, so to say. So that invitation is open to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, look, thank you very much once again, and I appreciate your presence.
Sashi,
Yes.
Before you end, is it possible to bring leaders of parties together in your discussion?
It is absolutely possible. I've been wanting to do that, and now that you as a party leader have mooted that, that gives me more of a legitimacy to approach other party leaders.
Yes.
I have the facility of having 5, 6, up to 10. I think I can have up to 10 people on screen where we can discuss common issues for the benefit of the people of Fiji. So definitely, yes, it is possible. And I think you will also expect an email from me if I can get that off the ground soon.
Sure. Thank you very much.
And if you have more thoughts on that, please feel free to drop me an email. because I certainly value your suggestions as well, Mr. Narube.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, Shashi. But thank you for having the commitment to have this forum. At this time, it is very valuable, and I thank you for it. Thank you for this opportunity. I
You're
accept
welcome.
that invitation into the future once the writ is issued. Thank you.
Sure. Please be proactive. Approach me whenever you think you are ready. And, we'll rock and roll on this show and we'll share important messages with the people of Fiji. In fact, the Fijian diaspora, because there is a faction of the community who are overseas voters. For example, I'm one. And it's very important that Fijians living overseas also have an opportunity of watching, observing, listening, and making their own minds as to which way they want to vote as well. So, once again, look, thank you very much. Have a very blessed Sunday. And I apologize to your family for stealing you for some 3 hours today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right,
Yeah.
Mr. Narumbe, stay well, stay blessed. Thank you, sir.
Naka.
And to you, our viewers, thank you very much. You've taken your time to be part of our program today. So I say a very, very big thank you to you. SSTP, where I say we ask the questions that Fijians all over the world want answers to. Well, that's it for episode 29 this week. A big, big thank you to my regular contributor, Nikhil Singh, for his input into today's program. To my SSTP team, a very big thank you as well. And I would like to thank all of you one more time for watching this program today. Now, next week's chief guest. Our chief guest next week will be a former member of parliament and a lawyer and a member of the Fiji Labour Party. He hails from the sugar city of Lautoka and is a Waiavi boy through and through. Our chief guest next week will be Mr. Harun Ali Shah. That should make for an interesting interview, as we have a lot to discuss with our chief guest next week. So until next Sunday, I wish you all a very safe and a happy week. In closing, I'll leave you with this quote from Dia Khan, who said, "Freedom of speech is a human right and foundation upon which democracy is built. Any restriction of freedom of speech is a restriction upon democracy. Freedom of speech is a human right and the foundation upon which democracy is built. Any restriction of freedom of speech is a restriction upon democracy." That quote from Dia Khan. Well, that's it for episode 29 of Sashi Singh's Talking Point. Till the next program, I am Sashi Singh, bidding you all goodbye, namaste, and ni samode. Goodbye, world.